Jorge was taken from his friends and family because you, Scarlet Blake, killed him. You did so by the River Cherwell at Parsons Pleasure at about 5:15 in the morning of the 25th of July 2021. It is not possible to say exactly how. Most likely you hit him on the back of his head from behind with a vodka bottle or something else you had brought with you in your backpack, then strangled him by applying pressure to the blood vessels just beneath his jawline, using your hands or a broad ligature, then put him in the river, where he drowned. You may have held him down in the water while strangling him. Either way, you intended to kill him, and you did kill him.
Jorge Martin Carreño, aged 30 years old, was a Spanish national who was one of 3 triplets. He studied electrical engineering, and his family said he wanted to make a difference to the future with his skills and ambition. He wanted to create and build a better world. This is the disturbing case of Scarlet Blake, the sadistic trans woman cat killer. Jorge Martin Carreño loved reading, he loved sports and photography, and he also loved music and played the guitar. His triplet brothers were his best friends, and he was adored by those who knew him. At the time of his death, Jorge was living and working as an engineer for BMW in Oxford in the UK. It was in the early hours of the morning in July 2021 when Jorge had finished an evening out with work colleagues. Possibly lost and unfamiliar with the area, he had dropped his wallet and was sitting on a bench in the streets in the early hours of the morning when he unfortunately met with evil. Those early hours in the morning on the 25th of July 2021, evil was lurking the streets. Her name was Scarlet Blake, 24 years old. Born in China, Scarlet Blake emigrated to the UK with her parents at the age of 9 years old. Scarlet was born a male and at the age of 12 came out to her parents as transgender. This caused an emotional rift between them, and Blake's relationship with her parents became strained. Blake's parents are both respected doctors. Growing up in school, Blake went by the name of Alice Wang and later used several names to identify with. At school, Blake joined the Army Cadets, and neighbours remember her as a quiet child, adored by both her parents. Blake was bullied in school, and it was around her teen years that she was diagnosed with depression and received treatment with medication. In adult life, she turned to drinking and using recreational substances. Blake wanted to become a doctor, but dropped out of sixth form school, and she was later offered a job as a medical technician at Oxford University, but never started the position. At the age of 17, Blake received puberty blockers, and at the age of 18, she started hormone treatment. In the early hours of the morning in July 2021, it was the first Saturday after the UK government announced the ease on lockdown restrictions since the pandemic, and all the clubs and bars had reopened. Blake prowled the streets for hours, wearing a heavy military-style coat with the hood pulled up and a face mask to conceal her face. Carrying a backpack, she can be seen walking the streets looking like she was on a mission to find a victim. Prosecutors later claimed that the items in the backpack were a murder kit, which included a leopard print dressing gown cord and a homemade garrote. CCTV on the night captured Blake approach BMW engineer worker Jorge while he was sitting on the bench after his evening out with co-workers. It was thought that Blake had selected Jorge because he was a slightly smaller build than she was, and he had lost his wallet and with no way of getting home, and vulnerable because he had had a drink. He was a complete stranger to her, and the two can be seen walking off together. Blake can be seen leading him to a secluded riverbank where she carried out her sadistic act for sexual gratification because she wanted to know how it felt to kill a person. After leading Jorge towards Parsons Pleasure, where there is a river, a popular spot for swimmers in the summer, and no cameras near the riverbank, Blake hit Jorge over the head with a vodka bottle and strangled him before pushing him into the River Cherwell, where he would drown. Jorge was found 36 hours later by dog walkers. A post-mortem revealed he had been strangled and had blunt force trauma to the head. His cause of death was drowning. Following the discovery of his body, police appealed to the public for the person seen wandering the streets wearing the military coat on the night Jorge died, but nothing turned up any leads. For 2 years, the Crenio family was left with his unsolved murder, and Blake became so confident that she had gotten away with a perfect murder that she boasted about it to her then-girlfriend Ashleen Bell. Ashleen Bell, also a trans woman, was an escort who was obsessed with guns and violence. Bell and Blake met online through the online messaging app Discord. The two shared a common fascination with death and violence. It was in April 2023 that police got a tip-off from a woman in America. Her name was Ashleen Bell. Bell had information about Jorge's murder, which could potentially lead to an arrest. A Thames Valley police officer travelled to the United States to collect a witness statement from Bell. Blake had recently travelled to the US to see Bell, the escort that she had met on Discord, and it was while Blake was there that the two had an argument so intense that guns were drawn, and Blake blurted out the confession that she had murdered Jorge. In April 2023, Bell had told detectives that Blake had told her that she had strangled Jorge from behind using a homemade garrote. And after strangling him, Blake had told Bell she had tried to tear Jorge's head from his neck. However, when she couldn't do this, she threw his body into the water. Bell went on to tell detectives that Blake thought Jorge was dead when she tried to remove his head. Items recovered from Bell was used as evidence. This included the military-style coat that Blake was wearing on the night that Jorge was murdered, and photos of the crime scene where Blake had returned to take trophy photos. Bell had these in her possession because Blake had sent them to her after she had murdered Jorge. Blake was arrested in August 2023. During her arrest, Blake revealed to the police that she had an animal microchip implanted in her chest, telling them that her details could be looked up online on an animal database. Phone messages between Blake and Bell showed that they both had a disturbing fascination with killing and self-harm. Text and voice message between the two, the conversation would turn to death or violence. During the investigation, they found a disturbing video of Blake live streaming herself, torturing and killing a cat. This was 4 months before murdering Jorge in March 2021. Blake had gone out to buy cat food and a cat carrier for the purpose to kill and torture her neighbour's family cat. I'm going to give a warning about the details of the killing and torturing of this cat. Please fast forward to the timestamp if you don't want to listen to the details. Blake strung up the cat by its neck while it was still alive and cut open its stomach, ripping out the heart and decapitating the cat. She went on to dissect the animal, taking off the skin and fur before putting the body into a blender, live streaming herself to Bell, her then girlfriend who was in the United States. This sickening act of cruelty was later determined by a vet that the cat would have felt extreme pain until the point where its heart was ripped out. The cat's heart she kept as a trophy in a trinket box, which was later found by the police. In the video, Blake can also be seen meowing like a cat and grinning while holding the cat's decapitated head in her hand and saying that she would love to do the same to a human.
Well, one day I want to learn how to do this to a person.
The Crown Prosecution Service worked with the police to build a case for trial with medical and forensic evidence that would secure a conviction. Blake was charged with murder. The trial began in February 2024 in Oxford Crown Court. She denied murdering Jorge and pled guilty only to criminal damage and animal cruelty. In court, the jury was not shown the live stream as it was too distressing. During the live stream, Blake had the New Order song True Faith playing in the background while she tortured the cat before killing it. It was said that her crime was inspired by the docuseries on Netflix called Don't F**k with Cats, which was about some amateur internet detectives who went on to find a man who had killed some kittens and then went on to kill a man, similar to what Blake did in this situation. The jury was told that Blake would often boast about killing people and wanting to dissect a human. Images found on her phone were presented to the jury, one titled First Date With Me, along with a photo collage of 9 female killers. Messages between Belle and Blake were read out in court. A voice message heard Blake saying, "It would be nice to kill for you one day," and another voice message, Blake can be heard telling Belle, "I want to kill my dad one day. He made me into who I am." Blake testified that she was not seeking out a victim on the night of the murder and that she was out walking because she could not sleep. And she denied having a murder kit in her backpack that night. Blake also denied that the confession to Belle was true and that she didn't kill Jorge, claiming that she had seen reports of the story and had only made up the confession because Belle wanted her to kill someone for her after she had live-streamed killing the cat. Blake claimed she had a fragmented personality and that she used different personas depending on her moods. She told the jury, one of those being a cat, and went on to demonstrate how she would meow to her friends when she greeted them. Blake told the jury she live-streamed the killing of the cat to Belle as a Valentine's Day gift, and she was forced to do that. Blake told the jury that she had suffered severe mental health problems and that she also had dissociative amnesia. Her defense lawyers never called upon any psychiatrists or counselors as witnesses to support her claim. During the trial, Blake took no responsibility for her actions. She blamed her parents for her mental health and her ex-girlfriend Belle for forcing her to kill the cat. The prosecution claimed that Blake had a fascination with strangulation, violence and death, and that she got sexual gratification from killing. A video clip of Blake consensually pulling tight from behind a ligature that was tied around her then-partner's neck until she lost consciousness was shown to the jury. CCTV footage of the night showed Blake was identified as the same person walking around Oxford city centre and then with Jorge on the night of his death. However, she testified that she only walked with Jorge to an area called Parsons Pleasure at the riverside and that the two only talked and he was alive when she left him. Forensic evidence linked her to the crime. The vodka bottle top was found nearby with Blake's DNA, along with Blake's fascination with strangulation and Belle's witness statement. The prosecution was able to paint a picture of how Jorge died that night and who was responsible. Blake was found guilty of murder. She was sentenced in February 2024 to serve a minimum of 24 years for the murder of Jorge Martin Carreño, with an additional 4 months for causing suffering to an animal and 2 months for criminal damage. Blake's mother attended court every day of the trial and showed no emotion when she heard the guilty verdict. As Blake was led away from the dock, she turned to the public gallery and smiled. She will be serving her sentence in a male prison, even though the crime will be recorded as carried out by a woman. After Blake's sentencing, her defense lawyer said, "Blake is a danger to the public and will likely never be free." Jorge was a loving son and brother. One of Jorge's triplet brothers, Gerardo, read out a victim impact statement saying, "We were born together, we were best friends. It's been sleepless nights and days. Going through the pain of losing a son and brother is a challenge no family should face." Jorge was known for his incredible affection. He was always ready to help. His life was full of love. His mother Carmen said his loss has left an open wound in the heart of their family. Jorge's ex-girlfriend Irina Hidalgo said, Jorge was a pure soul who only had kind words and a wide smile for everyone. Once again, thank you for watching. If you found this video educational, please like and subscribe and share. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.